This is what happens every day when I'm trying to film. All of them gather. They all just gather around the camera because they know I'm gonna lock them out. So this is me recording before I'm even going to like start my video, if that makes sense. Like I'm still waiting for my breakfast to get here, so I'm not even filming a video right now. But I just wanted to start it and show you my cat. That's it. I'll see you in like 30 minutes. All right, I'm here and I have no cats. Hey y'all. I realized I forgot to say hey y'all in my last video and I don't know how that happened, but it's eaten me alive. I am back and today I have more of your paranormal stories that I'm very scared to read today. Just a little side note, just a little ramble. I bought a pool, like a blow up pool on Amazon for like $100 and I'm currently filling it up with water right now so I can lay out after I'm done filming and I'm so excited. I had like one of those super tiny pools that I got at like Big Lots for like 10 bucks and it didn't work out for me, so I bought a bigger one that even has like a step in it so you can sit in it and tan. Oh my god, I'm so excited to not be this pasty anymore, but I'm very excited and it's filling up as we speak, so I feel like I have to like rush through this video because it's filling up with water, but it's gonna take a while because it's pretty big. But we're gonna get into the video. Two of these stories are from the same person, so it's just back to back. So I only have technically two stories in this video, but it's like three still because it's two different posts from the same person, but it's still the same person. And then one of the stories, the last one I'm gonna read, is actually an update from a Let's Not Meet video that I read about a woman who was like living in this person's garage and in their car, and she talked about a ghost in that video, and so I have her ghost story in this video as well. But the first story says, the life of a paranormal maggot. Magnet? What the fuck? The life of a paranormal magnet. Not maggot. What's wrong with me? They said, first off, I wanted to tell you that I love your videos. I watch them all the time and I love your reactions to the spooky, scary, and creepy stories and TikToks. Secondly, I do tend to ramble, and I'm so sorry in advance if this post is a bit long. I get so excited about the paranormal and spooky stuff, and I love sharing my experience with others. I cannot judge you for rambling, because I don't shut the fuck up. I'm like really out of breath right now, for absolutely no reason. Like I walked outside to check on my pool, and then I came back inside, and now I'm just out of breath. I'm gonna move you a little bit. A bit of background. I've always been drawn to the paranormal, even before I was born. I'll explain this shortly. And I have a ton of stories. My grandma, my dad's mom, she'll be Grandma J in my stories, and my great-grandma, Grandma J's mom, she'll be Gigi Cass, have had their share of paranormal experiences as well. Pretty sure that's where I get it from. Coincidentally enough, my boyfriend, we'll call him G, and his family are also paranormally gifted, even though my boyfriend is pretty skeptical. I don't think they'd mind if I also shared some of their stories too. Anyways, back when I was but a wee thing in my mother's belly, both of my parents thought I was a boy and began picking out boy names. Well, one day, Grandma J was sitting at her dining room table eating lunch, very much alone. My grandpa was still on the road as a truck driver, so he wasn't home all that much. She was looking down at her food when she felt like somebody was suddenly standing in the kitchen, staring at her. She looked up and saw a little girl about 5 years old, standing in the kitchen just staring at her. Grandma J had never seen this girl before and was taken by surprise, but she didn't feel afraid. To Grandma J, the little girl almost felt familiar. The little girl had long, curly, dark brown hair, hazel eyes, and chubby baby cheeks. After a few minutes of staring at each other, the little girl turned to the door to the garage, and Grandma J jumped out of her seat and called after the girl. "Wait, who are you? What's your name?" The little girl stopped and turned around and smiled at Grandma J. "It's me, silly. You know who I am, Grandma," the girl answered. She giggled, turned around, and vanished through the door. After that, Grandma J knew the little girl was supposed to be me, and I guess that's exactly what I looked like when I was about 5. That is absolutely insane. Another story that involves me is when I was little. I had a lot of imaginary friends. Two of them that I remember were Emily, a little girl about 6 or 7, about my age at the time, and a boy who called himself Christopher Robin. Yes, from Winnie the Pooh. Now, Emily wore a very pretty Victorian-style dress and held onto a porcelain doll that looked identical to her. One day, I was at Grandma J's house because my parents were both at work, and I was sitting behind the couch talking to Emily. Grandma J thought I was being a little too quiet and came to check on me. "Are you talking to your imaginary friends?" Grandma J asked me. I slowly turned my head towards her with the most serious face and said, "Grandma, Emily doesn't like it when you call her imaginary. She's mad at you now, and she said she doesn't like you anymore." Grandma J just chuckled and turned to walk away when she stopped. "Oh, ouch, ooh, what's biting me?" She began brushing and swatting at something at the side of her legs. "See, Grandma, I told you Emily didn't like it when you call her imaginary." Grandma J turned around and looked at me, but I had gone back to talking to Emily again. Christopher Robin, on the other hand, was a different friend. He was a boy, maybe a few years older than me, and he didn't want to tell me his real name, so he said I should call him Christopher Robin. Christopher Robin went with me everywhere. He told me he would always be around and wanted to protect me. One day, me and my grandma were in her office, and we were going through some old photos, and she would point out who everybody was and when it was taken. When Grandma J came to an old school photo, I stopped her and grabbed the picture from her. Look, it's my friend Christopher Robin. Grandma J looked surprised and said, No, baby doll, that's your Uncle Dale when he was in school. He's your daddy's baby brother. He died before you were born. No, he told me to call him Christopher Robin. He said he'd always be with me. Turns out, Christopher Robin was actually my uncle who had died a few years before I was born, and I couldn't have possibly known any of this or the details of his death. When I was older, he would show up randomly, much older and bloodied, and I would have nightmares of his death as if I was seeing it from his point of view. I knew details that I had never been told and could tell my grandparents everything that happened. I'll end this post here for now. I have so many more stories that I would love to post. I've also thought about making a TikTok to share my experiences about what it's like to work at a gift shop that I'm pretty sure has ghosts in it. What are your thoughts? Thank you for reading. Wait, you should totally do that. That would be so cool. And I would love to include some of those videos, some of those stories in my TikTok videos. Oh my god, I would love that. But I think you should do it. And I'm also going to lower you down a little bit because I just realized there's a lot of headspace. And then this is their second post. It says Life of a Paranormal Magnet number 2. Number 2. Hello again. Let me know if I post too much. I just love sharing my stories and I feel like you would really appreciate reading them. Never apologize for posting your stories. I appreciate it more than anything in the world because it allows me to make these videos. So I mentioned in my last post that my boyfriend G and his family have also had some paranormal stories, so I thought I would share some of those. The first actually happened to both of us in 2020 when we lived closer to my family and we were visiting his family for the summer. Long story short, G and I met in the beginning of 2019 in my hometown, moved almost 2 hours north from my hometown for his new job. Now we live about 8 hours north from my hometown to his hometown the summer of 2020, where we're currently waiting to move into our new house. That is a little bit confusing, but I think I've gotcha. Anyways, his hometown and all the neighboring towns were built by copper mines back in the 1800s. Now there are many of old mine shafts that have been capped off with fences and warning signs telling people not to go near it since the ground around it could be weak and you could fall into an abandoned mine shaft. Unfortunately, there was an accident in the 1960s where a little girl fell into an abandoned mine shaft, and though many people tried very hard to rescue her, they were never able to find her. This is now a memorial site for her, and visitors can come and pay their respects and read her story. One night, my boyfriend and I decided to try out this ghost hunting app he had downloaded on his phone, and I recorded it. At one point, you can hear what sounds like a little girl crying, and it sounds very echoey. Another point, you can hear what sounds like a man trying to come through, but you can't make out what he's saying. My boyfriend got really creeped out by that and said he's never ghost hunting with me there again. One story that G's mom, but she's pretty much my mom now too, told me a story about when G was little. Mom said she had come downstairs and saw a woman sitting on the couch, one leg crossed over the other and staring straight at the wall. She said she didn't feel scared, just startled, and looked outside to check on G, who was playing outside. She walked past the couch with the woman still sitting there, still staring at the wall, and went to use the bathroom. How the fuck do you just casually walk past that? A short time later, G had walked into the house and saw who he thought was his mom on the couch just sitting there. He didn't think much of it and walked into the kitchen, where he bumped into his mom, who was coming out of the bathroom. That was fast. How did you do that? G asked his mom, confused as to how she could have beat him to the kitchen when he had just walked past her on the couch. Oh, you saw her too? She answered, and when they went back to check and see if the lady was still on the couch, she was gone. Another story that Mom told me when G was little and they lived in an old brown house. G had many siblings, so him and his older brother's room was in the attic. Most houses here have an extra attic space that people make into bedrooms or extra spare rooms. The door to the attic would always open and close on its own, no matter what. G would get so mad at it that one time he said, "Stop fucking doing that." But the door kept opening and closing. So Mom decided to let some local ghost hunters come and take a look at the house because other strange things were happening as well. One of the ghost hunters caught a recording of a little girl laughing and saying, open, close, over and over again while the door kept opening and closing on its own. When G heard it was a little girl, he said, "Now I feel bad for cussing at a little girl." Mom said that she would be just down the hall in the bathroom and all the kids would either be at school or down for a nap. She could hear the door opening on its own, so she would come out and close it and then latch it at the top so the door wouldn't open, and she'd walk back to the bathroom to finish what she was doing. Then she would hear the door handle jiggling and trying to open, but it couldn't open because it was now latched. Thank you for reading, and let me know if you want any more spooky stories. Of course I do. These are so interesting to read. These are beyond interesting to read. You have to tell us more. And then like I said, this is kind of an update from the girl whose story I read in my Let's Not Meet video. This says, the ghost of my apartment who's obsessed with my fiance. Hey, I saw your video that featured my woman living in a car story, and as promised, here is more on the ghost in my apartment. So a little background. When we first moved into the apartment, my fiance was working nights and I didn't have a job yet. Fresh out of high school and just moved 2 hours away. So that meant I spent 5 nights a week home alone at night. This bothered me because I was terrified of the dark, especially outside when it was dark, so I barricaded myself in my room until my fiance came back. However, this worked against my favor because of our apartment ghost. I first felt him when I was in the shower one day and I saw a shadow standing outside the bathroom. The shower door was glass but kind of warped, so I couldn't see details outside of the shower, just shapes. I assumed it was my fiance and offered for him to come and join me. However, when I turned around to rinse my hair, the shadow was gone. But as I went to turn the shower off, I felt an intense pressure on my wrist as if somebody was gripping it as hard as they could. My wrist was also ice cold, a frightening change to the hot-ass shower I had been taking. Side note, I'm very used to ghosts, and after I post this, I plan on posting my other experiences so I knew instantly what this was. After my shower, I went to the living room where my fiance was and told him about my wrist and asked why he didn't get in the shower when I offered. He said I never offered and he wasn't in the bathroom to hear me offer anyways, so he didn't know. This freaked the both of us out, but we just carried on. That's when the ghost made himself present, mostly to my fiance, B. Not to toot B's horn, but he's very attractive, especially at this time. He's 6'3", had abs at the time, a little facial hair, and the sweetest brown eyes you'll ever see in your life. Now, this would be amazing if I wasn't the only one who found him attractive, because the ghost made it very apparent who he was crushing on. B said after my shower incident, which, by the way, B quickly quit his night job in pursuit of a day job, so I wouldn't have to be home alone, so he was home 24/7 with me now until I went to work. He had some experiences. When he would bend down to get something, he would feel someone grab his butt, full force and squeeze. At first he thought it was me, our roommates, or just a muscle spasm, but we were never there and he could feel a presence near him when this would happen. He was raised by a very spiritual person. His mom is a medium, and B felt very fortunate in some aspects to be able to feel spirits as well. So B kept getting touched on his butt, his male regions, and his arms, as if somebody was petting him. Then the garage stuff started happening. Even though we had roommates when this was going on, B was the only one with a garage key fob, so he was the only one who would touch it. However, whenever he was talking about going on a ride or starting to go to work, the garage would already be open without any of us touching it. Note, we didn't live in a smart apartment. We didn't have an Alexa, and the garage and key fob were its own separate part of the unit. One day we were going to see my mother who lived 2 hours away when B and I started arguing in the car. My mom hates motorcycles, and he was talking about how he should just take it to make her mad. I have a horrible relationship with my mom, and at this point she hated B for taking me away and running away to live 2 hours away with him. I was trying to tell him it's a bad idea because the last time I saw my mom, we were screaming at each other when the garage door opened. I instantly got mad at B and asked why the fuck he would bring the key fob out when we were taking the car, thinking his plan all along was to take the bike. Immature, I know, but I was also 18 and immature, so it fits. He defended himself saying he didn't have the fob. To prove it, we both went back inside where he found the key fob sitting there with his motorcycle keys. Untouched. Our roommates weren't home, so literally untouched. That's when we heard the garage going crazy. When we went outside, it was opening and closing erratically, and we were scared it was going to break. Finally, B yelled, "Fine, I'll take the fucking bike," and it stopped. So we took the motorcycle and we went about our lives. Now we'll talk about how we found out who the ghost was. We asked our neighbor Chad, who had lived there for 10 plus years, if there had been any deaths nearby that might result in a haunting. He said 7 years before we moved in, there was a guy living in our apartment named Juan. He was 19 years old, gay, and an avid drug user and dealer. One day, a pair of what Chad assumed was gang members came to the door and were arguing with Juan, seemingly about drugs. Chad couldn't tell because they were speaking Spanish. The two guys left, and Chad never heard Juan's voice again. He figured Juan went into hiding from the gang members, but it was much worse. A rotting smell came from the building's left side garage, our current garage, and the neighbors took notice and called the police. What they found was a barrel filled with the chopped up, rotting remains of Juan. I would say you can look up the news articles about it, but due to my fear of the man from my almost kidnapped at a bowling alley story, I'm sorry, but I don't want to reveal where I am and would like to stay as anonymous as possible. The police started an investigation and they believed Juan owed money for drugs, and when the gang members came to collect and Juan had no money, they kidnapped and murdered him, then stuffed his body in the barrel in the garage. Once we found this out, we tried being more empathetic with the ghost. We also had B's mom come to a reading of the apartment without telling her what we knew of Juan, and she said the ghost was male, around our age, 18 to 20, and had a crush on B. So yeah, that's the story of the ghost in our apartment. We moved out several months later due to another incident I posted about, Chad and his bath salts. And I can confidently say Juan didn't follow us to our new place. I'm gonna need to find that other story. I don't know if you, I'm assuming you posted it. Yeah, incident I posted about Juan, or Chad and his bath salts. I need to read that. It's probably very interesting. That is all I have for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have more stories that you would like to share with me or the community, I will have my subreddit linked down below, as well as my email if for some reason you're not able to post on the subreddit. Oh my god. I literally said I would read stories from the email in this video and I didn't do that. Oh my god. I'm gonna write it down. I will write it down, and in the next paranormal video, I will read from my email. I promise. Oh my god. I'm so dumb. Okay, well, whatever. I hope you guys enjoyed anyways. I love y'all. I will see you in the next one. Bye. And now I'm so excited about my pool. It's like 75 degrees outside, so I think I'm gonna lay out there because I checked the water and it wasn't that cold, so I think I'm gonna go lay out. I think I'm gonna go lay out and get a nice sunburn because I'm probably not gonna tan. I'm probably gonna burn. Okay, whatever. See ya.